If the word palace conjures images of fogeyish rooms in old buildings, gaudy thrones, and with it a yawn, think of Eltham Palace as the antithesis of all that. Discover the secrets of this South London gem with London by London. Now today we are here in one of South East London's kind of hidden treasures, which is Eltham Palace. So it's an old Tudor and medieval palace with a bit of a surprise inside. Really looking forward to seeing it. Let's go and discover. Eltham is a really interesting place. First built in around the 11th century, it became one of the favourite palaces of many, many royals, including Henry VIII. But Henry VIII was actually really the last royal who spent a significant amount of time at Eltham, and even then he started to really prefer Greenwich and Hampton, both of which are relatively close. So Eltham basically started to fall into disrepair until at one point it was being used as a barn, and the Great Hall that we'll go and see later was being used as a barn, which is crazy when you think about it, isn't it? Now the bit that we can see behind me isn't actually the original medieval or Tudor palace. This bit was added later, but the original Tudor and medieval palace was a real favourite of the royals, and it is really beautiful to go and see that inside. One of the things that is absolutely amazing about Eltham Palace is the Great Hall, and that is pretty much the first thing that you see when you go inside. It is this Art Deco piece of absolute fabulousness. Curved ceilings, white walls, really beautiful marquetry, and so it's just one of those interiors that you don't really expect from what looks like on the outside quite a staid and traditional palace, and then you go inside and actually what you see is Art Deco to the max. In 1933, the palace was leased by Stephen and Virginia Courtauld, wealthy socialites who set about transforming and extending the palace to create the jaw-dropping Art Deco interiors that make this place so special. They restored the medieval hall and added buildings in contemporary style. The couple even built a small jungle-decorated room for their pet lemur, Mahjong, who incidentally wasn't very popular with the guests thanks to his habit of nipping them on the ankles at the dinner table. It all just is a bit bonkers, and it's all the better for it. And I think really one of my favourite little tidbits from inside the palace was the fact that Stephen and Virginia had separate bedrooms, but connected by an interconnecting door that only she could open. So she could go through to his bedroom, but he couldn't come through to hers. And it's exactly that kind of detail that makes the marriage work. Sadly, the Courtaulds didn't spend long in the finished product. By 1944, tired of the bombing that plagued the palace, they sold up to the Army Education Corps, who used it as a base until 1992. And the site has now been owned and managed by English Heritage since 1995. And there we are, a whirlwind tour of Eltham Palace. Want to discover more quirky London spots? Subscribe and hit that notifications button.